Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the throwback 20 years Marvel Legends Captain America. Now, to hear people talk about it, this is the best Marvel Legends figure ever of all time. And I can definitely see some good things about it. I'm guessing there's going to be some bad things about it since we've seen this mold before. We're going to get to the bottom of it. Is this the best Marvel Legends figure ever of all time? It seems unlikely, but it's possible. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just shy, well, let's say 16.75 centimeters, and that's going to make him pretty close to, let's say, 6 5/8 inches. I'd say that's okay. Before we get into the rest of the review, though, let's do a quick question of the day. When it comes to Captain America, what sort of blue do you like? I'm much more of a fan of the slightly darker blue. I don't want the navy, but I do like the darker blue. In fact, I like that sort of blue on my Captain America. This one is a nice blue. It's just a little bit light just for my personal preference, but this is like my number 2, so that's okay. In fact, if it was just the dark blue that was up here, I'd be great. Okay, so this mold, we have seen it before. It was, at that time, the best mold for Captain America of recent history. It depends if you want to go more stylized, more comic styling, then you might want to go with like the Ultimate Cap or Face-Off Cap or any of those older ones. As far as recent caps, this is by far the best. This is probably one of the best Marvel Legends molds, at least from the waist up, in recent history, so that's a good thing. It does definitely exude more of a comic book vibe than most Marvel Legends do these days, so that's pretty cool. And of course we have to talk about the aesthetics first, so let's start with the sculpt and the proportioning. Like I said, upper body is pretty darn good. I do still think we need more chest. This guy has more shoulder, and it has the right broadness across the top there, the waist tapers, but his chest itself is very small. You know what, let's get the straps off to do this more appropriately. But yeah, I think his chest could definitely benefit from a little bit of tweaking, a little bit more meat, some thickness on there would be really good, because his chest is very tiny, especially relative to his shoulders. It looks underdeveloped and strange. That's also noted from the side. It's not as bad, but look how far forward his shoulders are. It's still a weird thing. Like, I don't get why Hasbro's doing that. They're making new molds, they're making some improvements, but his back is like this arch that it's not very muscly, it's just like an arch, and then the shoulders are so far forward from the neck that it just looks weird. That's not how that should look, so that's very, very strange. So yeah, we still have an underdeveloped torso. In fact, if you don't count the shoulders, the torso is actually, the upper torso is about the same width as the waist, so we still don't have much of that V shape. The oversized shoulders help, I do like that, but it's still, we're heading in the right direction, but we're still like a few steps back from where we were, I don't know, 20 years ago. Not really, because the first cap was not a great figure, but you get what I'm saying. Like, they've done this weird reversion to where the comic book figures don't really look like comic book characters, and this is better than most, but it's still kind of there. It's still kind of frumpy looking. The bigger thing that throws me off about this figure is the thighs and the knees and the calves. He's got no real good shape. The thighs are okay, but then there's no calf muscle at all, because he has these pirate boots, and they're baggy, obviously they're loose, and they're still only about as thick as the calf would be. So I think a little bit more meat here, a little bit more meat here. Better superhero shape would be great. Like, look, this is a good example. I know there's a lot of foreshortening here, but you want a thick thigh, taper at the knee, thick calf, taper at the ankle. We don't really get that. These things are basically up and down, straight up and down. There's a little bit of that, but not too much. So definitely could be better in a lot of ways, but this is still the best looking cap lately, so we're going to give it to him, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the paint. I think the proportioning is okay, other than the chest, by the way, like those sort of specific things, but like arm length, leg length, that all seems okay. So let's go ahead and talk about the paint job on this guy. This is a very curious one for me. I didn't realize it was going to be painted this way. I'm curious how you guys feel about it. The best example I have is the abdomen here, where they have like the pink for the main part of the red, and they have that darker, almost cell-shaded look scattered around. And I thought it was only right there, but it turns out it is actually on the gloves. It's hard to spot though, because the hands and this, they're two different colors. There's a lot of this kind of cell-shaded shading on the hands. There's a little bit going on here. It is on the boots as well. it almost just looks like a bad paint job, but also kind of like shading. So I don't know. I'm very curious how you guys feel about this paint job. For me, it's a little bit weird. I think it would have been way better to go red and black, but I don't know. I think what does it for me is that it's not everywhere. There's none on the white and there's none on the legs, so it does look like it's just a weird paint job. That throws it off a bit. I don't hate it. I'm kind of torn. I don't like that these don't match. This is a much different red than this. But this shading is just strange. I get what they're going for and I kind of love it, but also kind of hate it. So I don't know. Now let's talk about it up here, because they did the same sort of thing on the scale mill. What a tedious paint job that must have been. I mean, I know it was applied with a machine, but still, to get it even close to right, it's pretty good. This side's nice. This side is totally out of line. It's not lined up at all. So, I don't know. I think a wash would have been easier. Like, just throw a wash on it. That would be fine. We've seen washes on action figures. They've used them for years, and it's always been fine. It's a little less specific, but at least it can't do this. So, I don't know. Again, I'm torn. I like where they're going with it. I don't hate it, but it's also not really applied properly, so it's a little strange to me. I don't know. They did do it on the back, so I'll give them that. There's a little bit of paint here, and then obviously up here, so that's okay. As for the face, I know some people have had jacked up eyes and mouths. Mine's okay. This one eye is going a little bit crossed, but otherwise it's alright. It's a decent enough paint job. It's alright. The sculpt is okay. So yeah, I mean, like, obviously I'm talking about the flaws and stuff, but there is good stuff here too. It's still the best looking Captain America figure, for a classic one especially, and it is far more comic booky than most of the other figures these days, including Captain America figures, so I'm happy with it. But I would be way more happy if they would actually just commit to being a comic book character. Like, these are figures of comic book characters, let's just make them look like that, and I would love that. I'm curious how you guys feel about that. Let me know in the comment section below if you're getting tired of the lack of comic book character-ness in these figures. But overall, it looks pretty good. We're already 8 minutes in and we just did the aesthetics. So I'll give it a rating and move on. I will give it an 8 out of 10. It's pretty good, but also it's not great. 8's pretty good though. Okay, so as far as accessories go, we're going to count the straps that I took off of him already, because why not? We do have the masked head that comes on him in the package. We get an unmasked head, which is pretty good. I find a cool paint job in the hair. Eyes are good. It's fine. You get the little cowl for that. We have some fist hands that come on in the package, and we get the pointing finger hand, the saluting hand, and then the wide open hands. That's all right. We get his shield, which is still using this horrible, horrible clip that I just can't stand, but it's there. And the shield is painted well enough. There's no detail work on the inside. We do get peg holes in it to either put this lightning effect or the swooshy effect, which is pretty cool, or the bullet ricochet effect. And there's a little bit of paint on those, and I like that. It's pretty nice. The swoosh effect I think would have been cooler if it was farther on the edge of the shield, because it's like on this flat surface rather than on the edge, but it's still pretty cool. And then we get a display stand that says Marvel Legends, and the backdrop, which is either the comic book cover type thing, or you can flip it around and get the World War II thing, which I think is pretty good. That's a buttload of accessories, and I'm pretty happy with all of them overall. I'm going to go 9.5 out of 10. It's a pretty good batch of accessories. I do like it a lot. Okay, so I do want to talk about one thing before we get into the articulation, or should we save it? We'll save it. Articulation next. The head, we are on the older joint, not a double ball peg. The older joint, so you can lean back and forward. It is a slight lollipop situation, but it's not too bad. You do get a little bit of attitude, but you can see he's a little necky. He's got a little bit too much neck going on there, and that does throw off the superhero nature as well. So should I do a photo? I'll do a Photoshop for you guys. What can I say? I know you love it. You do get your rotation, of course. For the shoulders, you're going to get your rotation all the way around. That is fine. Hinge goes up to just horizontal. Doesn't feel like it goes any farther than that, no matter how much I want to try, which is okay though. You do get your bicep swivel. That is fine. Way less bubbly than a lot of figures. That's good. The shoulder should just be farther back, maybe a little bit broader. This elbow works only okay because of the glove. It wasn't really accounted for the articulation, and that's fine, but you didn't need that much meat right here. Just flatten it out a little bit and you'll get much better range. Let's see if we can tuck that in first. Yeah, you get pretty good range. It's not bad. It's definitely fine. They could have eked out a little bit more, but it is okay. And then for the wrist, you have your swivel and your hinge. Nothing special there. Ab crunch on this guy goes back really far, but he has a giant cavity in his chest, which is just ridiculous. There is no reason for that. There's no good reason for it. There is no good reason that you could stick. You shouldn't be able to do that. That's nuts. That's nuts. What the heck? And he doesn't really lean forward that far. So yeah, like I said, this is a really good Marvel Legends figure, but it has problems that it just doesn't need to have. It shouldn't have it. And for those of you that actually want to see a review, you're going to want to know about them. You do get a floaty belt and a waist twist, which is fine. The hips go forward. They do kick out to the side just a little bit, but they do kick all the way forward, so that's pretty good. They don't really go back in any measurable way. Going out to the side, not even 45 degrees. That's unacceptable for the best air quotes, not air quotes, best Captain America ever. Is it? I'm still going to stick to my face-off cap. I don't care if it's overly stylized. I'll take stylized comic book characters over this. Personally, you guys can let me know how you feel. Thigh swivel is fine. Double jointed knee is fine. Shin swivel is still there. And the ankle goes all the way back, which is good. And sufficiently far forward. I like that. And the ankle rocker is pretty solid. So yeah, the articulation is not terrible. It's just not good in most cases. And it is bad for the hips going out to the side. And ab crunch is ugly. And yeah, there's just weird stuff going on that doesn't need to exist. Like they're halfway there. They're halfway to making a great figure. And then they're halfway not. So I'll give the articulation a 7, I guess. And now I want to talk about the other thing. These guys come in at a higher price point. These like retro Marvel Legends figures, the anniversary type ones. I think it's fine. I think $35 for this figure is reasonable. He comes with all of the accessories and a nicer paint job, or at least more paint. I do think it should be nicer personally, but more paint, plenty of accessories, the extra display stand thingy, the fancy packaging. I'll take it. For a special one-off type of run of figures, we get this guy, Hulk, Iron Man, I guess Toad. There's going to be some others apparently, but I think that's fine. Now, if we're going to start seeing regular Marvel Legends creep up to that price point, there's no way in hell they're worth it. This one's already pushing it, frankly, because of the fact that they're just repaints with more accessories. 35 is a bit much. I don't mind paying $35 for a Tamashii Nations repaint, but Marvel Legends with extra accessories, I'm not sure it's worth it. I'm curious how you guys feel. Like, I don't mind these particular ones. Like, I have this one in Hulk right now, so I'm okay with their pricing. Hulk's like 40 or 45 because he's huge. I'm okay with it, but I'm having a hard time justifying a Hasbro purchase at that price point when it is just another Marvel Legends figure with slightly updated paint. Like, let's go back to that Phoenix Cyclops 2-pack. He had more paint than this guy, technically speaking, and I think he looked better. So, I don't know. I'm torn. The collector in me wants to be really happy with this, but the reviewer in me is like, I don't know if it's worth it. We still have like mismatched hands to gloves. Weird red here that doesn't match any other part of the figure. Hands that just look like they're kind of like bruised. I don't know, guys. I'm really torn on this one. Collector me wants to really, really like it and give it like a 9. Reviewer me wants to say for the higher price point, I'm stretching it to say 8. I'll say 8 because we do have some cool accessories and a lot of them. I'm going to go 8 for the final verdict, but I'm really curious how you guys feel about it because I'm torn. I'm very torn. If this was like not just a straight up repaint, basically. I mean, I know it's not literally, but it kind of is. It's pretty darn close. I don't know. I think they could do a lot better for the price point. Let me know how you guys feel. All right, that's enough. We'll move on to the next review. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, you can give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos almost every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.